Shalom. First off, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, by Rachak Badash. I want to give double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of GMS who have taught us this word and teach us this word today. And I want to give a salutation unto the elect of the nation of Israel. And in this lesson, what I want to get into is a recent situation that you've had from Captain Tazariak where, you had a man that wanted to receive the truth, and once he told Captain Tazariak that he was from Italian descent, Captain Tazariak immediately discerned that he was an Edomite. And I don't even want to say the word discerned. He immediately perceived the man to be an Edomite because he said he was Italian. And, that's not proper judgment. And in this lesson, what I want to get into is how we have to be spiritual in this truth. Because if we depend on carnal judgment, and we depend on, carnality, or depending on the flesh, then we can make mistakes, make misjudgments like what Captain Tazariak did. Because you have what Esau has taught us, how to discern a person's race, based off of their skin color, based off of their features, these different things. But that's not how the scriptures teach us to discern, who a person is. The scriptures go off of your nationality, and your nationality is decided by your father's bloodline, by your father's seed. Let's go to Numbers 1:18, which says, "And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers." And this is why when you read in the scriptures time and time again, when it's going through a person's lineage, it's going off of their father, their father's father, so on and so forth, that it goes back to what tribe they're from, or it goes back to what nation they're from. Now, when you go off of that, you're going to have it to where how the original people of that nation may look, or what we perceive a certain nation to look like. Through generations of time, a person may not, off of the naked eye, off of our carnal senses, they may not look like that nation. But when you go through their lineage, they are that nation. So when we take the Israelites, for example, you have Israelites that through their lineage, they go back to being an Israelite, but they look Asian. They look like an Edomite. They look, like some other nation, but they're an Israelite at the end of the day. And this is why we have to be spiritual in this thing. Because the scriptures say in Romans 8:16, the Spirit itself bears witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High. And what does that mean? Well, first of all, let's look at the example with Captain Tazariak and the man that wanted to receive the word. That is the Spirit bear witness with his spirit that he is one of the children of the Most High. It could very well be that man was an Israelite, because when a heathen isn't just going to hear this gospel and it resonates with a spirit like that, or it connects with them on that level. It takes for you to be an Israelite through the Spirit to hear this gospel, hear these words we preach, hear the coming judgment of the heathen, of the Edomites, and for you to look like a heathen, and you hear that judgment, you hear how the Israelites are going to put the heathen into captivity, and you don't buck up against it, or you don't become offended by it, and the word is still, being planted inside of you. The Lord is allowing that to happen, and the Lord is only going to allow that for the Israelites. Let's go to Habakkuk 2:4 real fast, which this is speaking about. Speaking about the wicked, and more specific, we attribute this to the Edomites when we read in Habakkuk 2:4, which says, "Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him," because Esau is the wicked. So when it comes to the truth, when it comes to preaching this word, they're gonna buck up against it. They're not gonna receive it. They're gonna be argumentative. They're gonna go back and forth, or they're just not gonna accept it. Because the soul which is in them, their spirit is not upright. It's not going to connect with this word. But what does it say? It says, "But the just shall live by his faith." Who is the just? The just is speaking about the righteous, the Israelites. It says that they will live by their faith. And that faith, the ability to have faith in this gospel, to the ability to connect to this word, that is given to the children of the Most High. So that's why we have to be spiritual. We have to understand that you have people who are Israelites who have mingled with women of different nations, or women that, have the appearance of different nations. And then that child comes out and they look lighter. They don't look like an Israelite from the naked eye. And then that child may get with a fair-skinned woman, or a Edomite woman, or, whatever the case may be. And then that child comes out looking even further away from an Israelite. But when you go to their father and you go to their grandpa, what? That's an Israelite. Look at Drake's son. Even Drake, for example, a lot of people didn't accept Drake in the rap game because of his appearance. He didn't look like your regular everyday Jake. So it was hard for Drake to, be accepted. But when we look at his talent, when we look at his spirit, he has the spirit of an Israelite. But we don't even look at his father. His father looks like a straight up Negro. But his father got with an Edomite woman. Then boom, Drake came out. Then what happened? Drake got with an Edomite woman. And then boom, what happened? We look at Drake's son. If you don't know who Drake's son's father is, or his grandpa, you just look at his son, you like, man, that's an Edomite child if you're looking carnally. But once that kid starts to express himself, once he shows different signs, because what's another thing that we can go off of where it says that the Spirit itself bear witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High. Matthew 5:13, which says, what? Ye are the salt of the earth. And that salt represents flavor. The Lord made us to be a peculiar people upon the earth. The Lord made the Israelites to be the most talented, the most gifted, the most blessed people when it comes to rapping ability, when it comes to sports, when it comes to acting, when it comes to just excelling at, excelling at talents, excelling at things, being gifted. The Lord made us a peculiar people. He made us the salt of the earth. That's why Israelites outdo all these different nations when it comes to these sports, when it comes to entertainment, when it comes to these different things. And so when you have someone that looks like a different nation, but they moving like an Israelite move, or they talking like an Israelite talk, and they not putting on a front, you could tell it's just in a spirit. They can't fake that swagger. That's because they are Israelite. That spirit is bearing witness, And so we also have to keep in mind that we have been scattered across the four corners of this earth. Even with the Italian men, a lot of Israelites are in Italy. We ruled in that region. We ruled these different countries in Europe. We was up in Russia. We was up in all these different countries around the earth, but we literally ruled in Europe. You can look at the apostle was going into it. Look at the flag of Sardinia, go into the history of Corsica. Go into these different countries and look at these old relics of paintings and artifacts, and you see dark-skinned men as royalty in these different countries. Now, what happened? These men was getting with the women of these different nations that was in these regions where we were. And what happened? The children came out looking different. But what seed line do they come from, though? They come from Israelites. And so through history, through generations of time, you have it where all the way today, through mingling with Israelite men and these women of the different nations, or Israelite men and just women that appear to be these different nations, the children look different now. Now you got people that look like full-blown Moabites, but they be Israelites. I don't know if you ever seen the video where you got the so-called Chinese dude and he drinking Henny on his couch, and he pouring up the Henny. He said, what did he say? He said, good evening, everybody. Henny on the rock. I'm like, and he got the puffer coat on. He got the golds in his mouth. He got the chains on, and he moving like an Israelite. And I'm like, man, this is a whole nigga that just looked like a Chinese dude, you know. So that we have to look spiritually, because the scriptures say what? Let's go to John 7:24, which says, judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. And that's why when you have people that come up to receive this word, and they may look like somebody of a different nation, we still give them a fair shake, because we have to try the spirits by the Spirit. Now, sometimes you're gonna have a person that look like an Edomite that come up, and then you start conversing with them, and you like, oh, this is a damn Edomite, you know. And you gonna know because you try the spirit. But then you're gonna have somebody that look like an Edomite or look like somebody from a different nation, and then y'all conversing and they receiving the gospel, and it's you know ingraining its root within them, and it's, you know, vibing with their spirit. And then when you try the spirit, you like, all right, this person may be an Israelite. And this is why you have men in different GMS camps that look like they from different nations, but they still out there preaching this word. You ain't gonna have no heathen out there doing that. The Lord wouldn't allow it. Those are Israelites, you know. So let's go to let's grab this real fast. Jeremiah 12:9, which says, mine heritage is unto me as a speckled bird. The birds round about are against her. Come ye, assemble all the beasts of the field, come to devour. So it says that you know, mine heritage is as a speckled bird. The Israelites is going to come looking like all different types of appearances. We ain't just all going to be some dark-skinned people, you know. It's a stumbling block for some. You know, the Lord set it up like that for a reason, because you have to be spiritual to, you know, what the scriptures say. It says that the carnal mind is enmity with the Most High. The Lord want to see who's going to move by faith. You know, because we're supposed to live by what the scriptures say, 2 Corinthians 5:7, I believe. It says, for we walk by faith and not by sight. The Lord wants to see who's really gonna exercise that. It takes faith to look like a different nation and believe this truth, but it also takes faith. It takes a spiritual mind to see someone of a different nation and still, you know, deal with them as an Israelite when they are. Because that's what they are. You know, we can't be carnal in this thing. We can't be, you know, black Hebrew Israelites. You know, and Lord willing, what I'm saying is making sense. You know, I you know, Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. I want to grab one more precept and we'll close the lesson out. Isaiah 11:12. It says, and he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcast of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. So those nations that it's speaking about are, you know, the Israelites coming from these different nations, you know, and it says, you know, it talks about the outcast of Israel, the dispersed of Judah, because we are across the four corners of this earth today. Now it says that the Lord would set up an ensign. What is that ensign? Well, let's get into the definition of an ensign, which is Strong's H5251, Nasa, which is something lifted up, a standard, a signal pole, a banner, a standard as a rallying point. So an ensign is basically like, you know, in like ancient war, where you had the person that had like the like, if you've seen Game of Thrones, you had the people that had the flag of the house that they were representing, and they, you know, that flag would serve as an ensign. It would serve as a signal. You know, this is where we at. You know, it was a banner, and this truth is a banner. This truth is a rallying point for the Israelites that have been scattered across the four corners of this earth. And this is why the internet has been created, so that the Lord could fulfill, so that through the Lord's will, the prophecy could be fulfilled that we read in Matthew 24:14, where it says, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. And through this truth being up on the internet, that has given the ability for the Israelites that's in all these different countries around the world to receive this word, to come to the knowledge of this gospel, and to wake up, you know. And That's fulfilling that prophecy in Isaiah 11, that this truth would be an ensign. It would be a signal, a banner, and it would rally the Israelites, and so now we see camps sprouting up out of these different countries, and so, that's all I really wanted to get into in this lesson, just making the point that we have to be spiritually minded in this thing. We can't go off of just our carnal senses, because if we do that, then we won't receive a lot of the truths of this word, but just staying on the topic, we will make a messed up judgment like Captain Tazaryak did, which the man could have been an Edomite. He could not have been an Edomite, but there's a chance he could not have been. There's a chance he could have been an Israelite. And we have to give that fair shake, and if we make a messed up judgment like that based off of, we hear Italian, oh, you a Edomite. We hear, we hear Chinese, oh, you a Moabite. That's it. Like, nah, man. So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Rachak B'dash. I want to give double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of GMS, and a salutation unto the elect. Shalom.